For 30 years, a shadow loomed over Wichita, Kansas. A boogeyman who called himself BTK for bind, torture, kill. This is the story of Dennis Rader, the family man next door who was secretly one of America's most sadistic serial killers. The terror began in 1974. The Otero family, Julie, and two of their young children, Josephine and Joseph Jr., were found brutally murdered in their home. The crime was meticulously planned and shockingly violent. It was the work of someone who craved control and reveled in suffering. This was BTK's debut, and it sent a wave of fear through the quiet community. Soon after, the killer began a twisted correspondence with the media and police. He sent letters, taking credit for the Otero murders and giving himself the chilling moniker BTK. He described the crimes in graphic detail, details only the killer could know. He taunted law enforcement, claiming he had an insatiable urge, a monster inside him that he couldn't control. His reign of terror continued. Catherine Bright, Shirley Vianne, Nancy Fox, the list of victims grew over the next few years. BTK's methods were consistent. He would stalk his victims, learn their routines, and then strike when they were most vulnerable, often in the sanctuary of their own homes. He used a hit kit of ropes, tape, and weapons. The community was paralyzed with fear. People installed new locks, bought guard dogs, and looked at their neighbors with suspicion. But BTK remained a ghost. After the murder of Dolores Davis in 1991, the BTK killer went silent. For over a decade, there were no new murders and no letters. The case went cold. Many believed the killer was dead, in prison for another crime, or had simply stopped. The fear subsided, but the mystery remained. A dark chapter in Wichita's history. The families of the victims were left without answers, without justice. An entire generation grew up hearing stories of the phantom killer who had never been caught. Then, in 2004, the ghost returned. On the 30th anniversary of the Otero murders, a letter arrived at the Wichita Eagle newspaper. It contained a copy of a victim's driver's license and photos from a 1986 crime scene that had never been publicly linked to BTK. The taunting resumed, more arrogant than ever. BTK was back, and he wanted the world to know he was still out there. This renewed communication spree would become his undoing. Rader, now in his late 50s, was desperate for the recognition he felt he deserved. He sent more packages, including puzzles, drawings, and even a doll bound in the same way as one of his victims. He was playing a game he was convinced he was winning. The crucial mistake came when Rader sent a package containing a floppy disk to a local news station. In a previous letter, he had brazenly asked police a question: "Can I communicate with a floppy disk and not be traced to a computer? Be honest." In a calculated move, police responded through a classified ad in the newspaper, essentially saying, "Yes, it's safe." It was a brilliant piece of psychological manipulation. Of course it wasn't safe. Forensic investigators quickly analyzed the metadata on the disk. They found the words Christ, Lutheran Church, and the name Dennis. A quick search revealed that the president of the church council was a man named Dennis Rader. The puzzle pieces began to fall into place. Rader was a compliance officer for Park City, a husband, a father of two, and a church leader. On the surface, he was a pillar of his community, boring rule-following bureaucrat. He seemed like the last person anyone would suspect. But when investigators looked closer, the profile fit. He had the right age, he lived in the area, and his job gave him a sense of authority and control, traits often seen in serial offenders. Police obtained a DNA sample from Rader's daughter's pap smear records through a warrant. They compared it to the DNA evidence collected from under the fingernails of one of BTK's victims. It was a familial match. They had their man. On February 25, 2005, Dennis Rader was pulled over during his lunch break. When the officer approached his car, Rader asked, "Why did you stop me?" The officer calmly replied, "Mr. Rader, you know why? The 30-year reign of terror was finally over." During his interrogation, Rader confessed in chillingly mundane detail. He spoke of his crimes with a disturbing lack of emotion, as if he were describing a day at the office. He admitted to 10 murders, recounting each one with detached precision. The monster wasn't a shadowy figure. It was this ordinary-looking man who had hidden in plain sight for 3 decades. The man who wrote parking tickets and led church meetings had a secret life fueled by dark, violent fantasies. Dennis Rader was sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences, one for each of his victims. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. The case of the BTK killer is a terrifying reminder that evil can wear the most ordinary of masks. It's a story of a community held hostage, of dogged police work, and of a killer whose own ego and desperate need for fame led directly to his downfall. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into true crime cases. Stay safe out there.